Welcome to the Adventitious Adventures podcast. This is going to be kind of a different sort of episode. We've reached the end of the first arc in our storytelling, so I just kind of wanted to have a chance to recollect things, describe what we've gone through so far, kind of talk about the characters just slightly, and what we've seen, and then maybe throw in a little bit of what is to be expected for the rest of the campaign. I just feel like having this moment be a place where you can kind of just recollect, and also, if anyone was coming into this right now, they wouldn't have to necessarily go back and listen to everything. They could start here if they really wanted to, although I would recommend, listening to the whole thing, but just having a way to, recollect everything. Yeah, so before I jump into it, I just want to say, I've really enjoyed doing this so far. I'm really excited to, share more of this with you guys. And so I really appreciate anybody that has listened and has been, following along. And I really want to encourage to, share with everybody, because it'd be great if more people could hear this and listen to it and be into it as well. That's something we all, I think, in some degree, are excited about, is sharing what we're putting out. And, that would be great. So far, we have been introduced to the land of Nova Terra, and its distinct locations of both the north and the south. Those will play a part to an extent going forward, but not near as much as this first section of our campaign did. We've also, the party got together, they met at a tavern, they completed some smaller jobs before they helped this northern princess to get back to her father and back to the north after being kidnapped. For a while, they, were recognized with favor and celebrated, even given them a keep or multiple. And then, they had things that managed to disrupt that favor, shall we say. Most notably, blowing up the Queen of the North. Even if it was justified, it still was obviously a not great thing to happen. And may still have ramifications going forward, but shall be seen. Then they, separated because everyone had different feelings about it. Some were very strongly wanting to help this next big threat that they had seen that was happening in the Barrens, and some of them weren't so committed to that, and so they kind of separated. And that is where we kind of left everything. Certain things happened in those separations from each other that, strengthened bonds or made characters for who they are, I think, for the next little section. But we kind of left it with just them being apart. So with that, of having left them with these episodes that centered a little bit more on certain characters, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the characters that we have right now. So where we left it, with who we have, is really probably the core group of who is going to be in the campaign the rest of the time. Mostly this next section, but pretty much the rest of the campaign as well. There will be some changes, as you will see, as always, but for the most part, this makeup of everyone, of Malvis, the Tiefling Warlock, Nara, the half-elf monk, Hobbes, who is a wizard, and I think, from what I remember, he's a human, but he's old. Mitram, who is an elven ranger. Ranger. And our newest character, Chopette, who is a halfling barbarian. That is kind of the core of characters. That is there for the next section, and the majority of them for the rest of our campaign. And honestly, they were really the best. I think. I know we had some changes, and some of those changes will get pretty intricate and funny as well as it goes on, but for the most part, this was one of the best core groups that we had. And so I'm excited for everything that's going to be happening. With characters, that we have seen so far, you've also gotten to see how they've slightly started to, interact with each other, some of their thoughts towards each other, and some of it's yet to be seen. But with that, you also have some budding either friendships or possibly romances, especially with Mitram, and she is an NPC, but Stephanie, that we saw. You get the sense that there's something there. Also, you have this interestingly manipulated almost relationship that is happening between Inara and Malvis. It's yet to be seen if that's a friendship or something more, but at this point, you have that. Maybe it wasn't started in the best way, but we'll see kind of where that goes. I have to say, from coming from the experience of playing this firsthand, this first section, it was fun. It was our group's first foray into true D&D. We had played a bunch of RPGs before that together, but we really hadn't done true D&D, so it was a good jumping point of, getting into it and being what we were, and it was fun. However, I feel like it was maybe the slowest and more setup-y of any of the kind of arcs of our campaign, and other than like all the stuff that happened at that party and the relationships that were kind of built within this time, I think a lot of it was just setup. And so while it was fun getting to know everybody and getting to know how we were playing, I think that it was maybe my least favorite section of it, just because a lot of it was just getting used to things. Not that it wasn't a good story. I thought that it was a good, jumping point and good story so far, that I feel like will still have some ramifications that we'll see. So definitely was great, but I feel like I'm excited for everything that's coming yet. So speaking of that, like going forward, we are probably jumping into, with this next little section, probably my favorite part of this campaign, honestly. You just start to see more people's relationships shape, and the party as a whole's relationship shape up, and they also, dive into some backstory, or people's backstories play out kind of just genuinely, like it's part of the story. It was integrated, and I feel like it was well done. And I don't know, it just has this sense of like, you get to see who really these people are, or these characters are, and I think what they face and what they do, it just all, I don't know, I have really good thoughts and feelings from it. So I'm really excited to get to share this next section of everything. There's some hilarious things in there, which I hope that when I look at everything, I can, get them to you, because spoiler, I guess, but one of them is our newfound friend's obsession with butts, which was talked about very frequently. And, just there's some negative connotations with the characters going forward too. I don't know. It just, when I think of that campaign, this section is probably the part that I remember and liked the best. And with that, what we'll kind of start to see is obviously our party will come back together. Because obviously it would be kind of boring if that wasn't the case. You'll see them come back together, and they've defeated this bigger threat, but it's not the end. Just as, Thurston or all the creatures and everything were saying, it's not the end. There's worse things out there. And they'll start to see them. There's going to be threats that, are world ending, but there's also ones that, are a little less so, a little more physical, and kind of disguised as good or, a good option for the land. And so, yeah, I don't know. It will be interesting to go back through everything and describe it all and tell everything. They will be forced, a lot of them will be forced to face some things about themselves that they either had wanted or weren't expecting, and they'll get to meet people that, seem good, but potentially aren't, with the next threats that kind of come out. And I'll say the next section is probably the longest section that we had out of our campaign. And yeah, I'm just really excited to jump back into that. And again, I do want to just stress, thank you to anyone who has, been on this journey so far with me and listening and continuing to listen, because it really does mean a lot. Yeah, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit now, but I'm really thankful for this outlet of being able to tell the story again, and getting to put things out there. So thank you. Continue to, show up, subscribe, so that you can know when things happen or are released, and we'll jump into the next arc of our campaign, starting next time.